After working with hundreds of men over the years, helping them save their marriage, I've noticed that the majority of men who come into my program that search help to get their wives back, they fall into one of three categories. And some men, you may actually fall into all three categories that are guaranteed to show that you're going to lose your wife or girlfriend long term. Now, the crazy thing about this is that on the surface, these three types of men seem like it would be good in a relationship to have these qualities. But I'm going to show you exactly why this is an issue. And at the very end, I'm going to show you the three things you must do instead, the type of man you must become to not only keep your wife, but to have a relationship that was better than before. These are the three types of LV men, otherwise known as low value men. And your wife wants to be the high value men. And it's easy to change these things around because what makes these men is simply the behavior you are showing her or not. So you can simply change that. And remember, I'm going to show you the three different types that actually keep her around at the very end. So the first guy is Mr. Fix-It. Speaking with one of my new clients in the Marriage Mastery Program named Michael. Now, Michael, like most men I work with, was in a very problem-solving domain of his life. He was an engineer. His whole entire life is designed to fix problems. So every time there was an issue with his kids or his wife, he would always offer solutions. Now, in the masculine domain of solving problems in the business context, this is good. It's a great skill to have. However, when you're with your wife or girlfriend or other people, and there's an emotional issue, it doesn't need a logical solution strategy. When you're trying to constantly solve your wife's problems, it communicates one thing to her. Well, actually, two things. Number one, she's not capable to solve her own problems, and it makes her feel belittled. Number two, it also shows her that you don't care about her situation because in her mind, the way women interpret those messages of trying to solve her problem is that you're just trying to minimize her situation. You just want to get rid of the whole thing. Now, I know your intentions are positive. You want to make her happy, that if you solve her problem, the problem will go away. But you must understand one of the biggest differences between men and women is the way we communicate and why we communicate. Now, for women, most oftentimes, they're bringing a problem to people they like and they care about because they want to connect. That is their main goal. And whenever you're trying to solve her problem, she's saying, well, you don't really want to connect with me. You're just trying to get rid of me. So the way this came about in Michael's situation was whenever his wife would complain about something, he would just offer the solution, and just try to get rid of it because he wanted to chill. He wanted a peaceful home. And he saw his wife's problem as more of a burden. And so she felt like a burden, and it only pushed them further apart. The next one is Mr. Nice Guy. This is many people I also work with. Now, oftentimes this niceness has the guise of religion glossed over it. Now, I'm not going to knock religion. I grew up Christian myself. There's so many good values that were instilled in me because of that religion. But oftentimes when I talk to men who are trying to be nice to their wife and they're avoiding conflict, they take the whole idea of, well, what would Jesus do in this scenario, right? And the truth is that really, they just don't want to deal with the conflict. Oftentimes, that's what I would say when I wanted to avoid conflict. But recently, I found out that there's a part in the Bible where Jesus got pissed off and he flipped over tables and he held his boundaries. And I never knew this about him, right? And one of my recent clients told me this, and I was super shocked. Now, the thing is that when you're a Mr. Nice Guy, you're just trying to make your wife happy. But what that conveys to her is that you're suppressing your own needs. Every time there's a conflict with this client in particular, instead of expressing his own need, working through it with his wife, communicating through the conflict to build the relationship up, he chose to just appease her, give her what she wanted, and ultimately she was losing respect and attraction for him over time, and she couldn't tell why. Instead, the skill you need is masculine leadership, which I'll tell you in a second. The last person is mystery. Just a mystery. You want to be a mystery for your wife. No. Mr. Ego Man. So Mr. Ego Man, this guy, he thinks he's better than thou. He thinks all the problems are with his wife. When I work with very successful entrepreneurs and business owners, they adopt Mr. Ego. They do so much self-development. They're in good shape. They make all this money. They go to self-development seminars. And they think to themselves, if my wife just worked on these problems of her stress, her depression, all these things, our relationship would be great. Now, I'm going to share my own personal story about this because I can really connect with a lot of men that are very high value and honestly are very successful. The whole premise here is that whenever you're trying to better someone else, it implicitly is saying that she's not good enough. You're choosing to try to change her constantly. One of the biggest issues, for example, with one of the past clients I was working with, multi-millionaire, is that he wanted his wife to start working out. She was gaining some 20 plus pounds since the marriage. A pound a year, pretty much. And he was trying to get her into the gym. But every time he tried to make little comments about her gaining weight or eating the wrong food, all it did, I'll show you. her eating the wrong food, right? So the husband made suggestions, made her feel insecure. She escaped and ate more food. And this whole cycle was repeating and repeating and repeating until she gained more weight. And there was such a big disconnect because of the physical unattraction. And you have to let guys know that in order for your wife to change, there's a different strategy that I'll show you right now. Well, after the first two. Okay, so I wrote without thinking about it, but mastering masculine leadership is actually for the nice guy. We'll do this one second. Mastering masculine leadership is recognizing how to be assertive without being aggressive. How to explore, why am I being passive? Why are you afraid of conflict? Once you are able to explore the internal reasons why you choose to avoid conflict, go work, just try to appease your wife, to just make her happy and peaceful without going towards that conflict that actually builds the relationship. Once you identify the core reason, you can address it and become an assertive masculine leader that she always follows. When it comes to Mr. Fix-It, what you must understand about your wife is the female emotional blueprint. As I alluded to already, men and women have more commonalities and differences. However, those differences are what cause the conflict. How women process emotions, how they decide, how they communicate is all completely different, and no one has taught you that. Your father doesn't teach us, school doesn't teach us. I had to get my master's degree in psychology and work with hundreds of men across thousands of hours to kind of eventually get it, right, with women. I think I got it down pretty good now. And so in order to do this, you must understand the pragmatics of her communication, right? Why she communicates the way she does, and respond to her on the emotional level and not the logical level. Once you know how to respond to her emotions in the proper way, she feels understood and that emotional connection increases. I would check out this video right here in the cards to learn more how to do that. Okay, the last one, I'm making so many spelling mistakes today, but the last one says autonomous interaction. This comes under the idea that if you seek to improve yourself, but also understand your wife and focus on your behavior, you recognize that she will change. Mr. Ego Man thinks to himself, if she truly understood that if she just dealt with her depression or her trauma or her past abuse, that she would be happier. However, one of the fundamental paradoxes of human change that I've learned over countless hours doing this is that in order for something to change, you must accept them first. I know it seems counterintuitive, but that's the way it works. And by you trying to constantly change her and improve her, she feels not good enough and she won't change. But if you accept her the way she is unconditionally, she's more likely to have a stronger bond with you. She'll accept your influence more. And then you can create correct ways to get her to do things that are good for her by making her feel good first, right? To make women change, they need love, appreciation, and respect. For men, challenging us causes us to change. It's a complete opposite approach. Now, once you identify these three core behaviors and how to improve your marriage, you'll become a high-value man that she is constantly desiring for, constantly chasing after, and will never want to leave because of how rare you are. If you need more help in exploration of these three types of men and a proven strategy, how to get your wife back to improve your marriage, click the link down below. You can set up a free call with our marriage evaluators. There's limited spots each week. Smash the like button if you are new here. We have a video pretty much every single day. I'll see you in the next one.